Joining me now in the studio to talk about the possible motives behind the attacks is Uzeyir Ok. He is a professor of psychology and religion at Ibn Haldun University. Thanks so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
So we have a claim of responsibility from Daesh, and assuming that these attacks have been committed in Daesh's name, do you think these attackers are true believers, or are they psychologically disturbed young men who would have committed other crimes if they didn't have Daesh to associate themselves with?
Okay. Can I start by sending my our condolence and our really feelings of sorry to Spanish citizens. We feel the same kind of inside that kind of terrible horror attack. So let's start by talking about this. What the true believers, I think there is no such a kind of standard term in that sense. But we can talk about the true believers. The believer's healthy or unhealthy belief could be defined in different ways, in different nations, in different contexts. I think it's nothing to do with the belief here, to my view. I think it's the personality factors that are playing a role here. So there might be some psychological explanation towards that extent. I know that some context or social circumstances may contribute, may foster such kind of aggressions, but I think mostly it is personally, psychologically should be dealt with. For instance, if we look at all this type of similar incidents in the past, mostly young people are used in that sense. So this period of adolescence and a little bit at the beginning of the young adulthood, about 20s and so on, these people are ready for a commitment, and they are ready for indoctrination and brainwashing kind of things. And if they feel alone and if they experience identity crisis, especially in minority countries, or they feel minority in those countries, they seek a new identity, a meaning, a cause to commit themselves. And this is very well known by some masterminds who are evil masterminds, and they are enrolling all these people, and they are educating them, perhaps in the name of religion. I think the text is, to my view, is neutral. I think it doesn't encourage people, but usually it is the perception of people who are understanding this text in that way.
So these masterminds find the people, usually young people, who are most vulnerable and easiest to really prey on and manipulate and convince.
That's right.
But I mean, is there any way then that security forces and investigators can do a better job of kind of psychologically profiling people who may be at risk before they commit crimes or are recruited by groups like Daesh?
That's fine. Just can I add something more? Because there are some personality characteristics are really aggressive. You know that some psychotics, especially, they do not have any feelings of empathy. Such kind of persons in every faith, it's not only Islam or Christianity or whatsoever. Yeah, that's sociopaths as well. They are ready to commit crimes and irrelevant of their nations and faith and so on. So when we come back to your question, I think it's not only the security issue. Security issue is just reminds us the violence and the guns and so on. The educational thing, it's not, especially again, any types of violence can be predicted using the psychological research or any type of research. And we can now predict to some extent, maybe explaining 50 or 70% of the crimes. So if we predict violence, we can deal with the violence exactly in that way. But this could be through education, through other social works, networking, something, you know, it's not only the crime stuff. Anyway,
okay.
Sorry.
Uzeyir Ok, thank you so much for joining us on TRT World.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.